Hi, I'm Kelly from underatexassky.com, and today I'm going to show you a brief video on how to make a bow. I know it's hard to believe that I can actually make a brief video, but I'm going to do my best to make this very brief and show you simply how to use a bow maker to make a bow. I got a comment recently on one of my videos, and they asked me if I actually do use a bow maker to make my bows, and yeah, quite frankly I do. I'm just not really good at hand tying bows. Some people are great at it. I'm actually not good at it at all, so I have to have a little bit of help from a tool to be able to make a bow. And so I'm going to just show you today very briefly. The sky's the limit. Once you get the basics on how to do this, you can mix and match ribbons and big ribbons and small ribbons. You can just do whatever you want to do. Your imagination is the only thing that's going to limit you on what you can do with the bow maker. Now, I happen to use this bow maker, Bowdabra. If you want to show them the bow maker, mean man here. Bought it at the craft store, very inexpensive, but such a tool worth having to be able to do this. I'm going to use just 1.5 inch ribbon today. I did want to show you my ribbon rack. Somebody had asked me recently, they saw the ribbon rack in the background, and I want to let you know what this actually is. This is nothing special. These are just spice racks that I purchased at Lowe's. They're the kind that go on the back of your pantry door or on the back of a cabinet door. I was going through Lowe's one day and I saw these and I thought, you know, I wonder if we could get ribbon to fit in those things. And sure enough, we got it home and got it on the wall, and it's perfect. Now, it won't hold a really big, wide roll of ribbon. Some of them you can see, like this, for instance. Well, actually, no, that would fit. There's some. This one doesn't fit in quite. The circumference is really big, so I just kind of set it in there. But it's still great. It works better to me than the dowel system, where you've got the dowel going through the holes in the ribbon. Because when you want to get a roll of ribbon down, you have to take that out, and then when you want to put it back, you have to take all the other ribbons out and fit that back in. This, you just take what you need, stick it back over there. It's a great way to organize. I really like it, and I would encourage you to do that if that's something that you were wanting to know how to store your ribbon, because that is a big problem. I used to stack them all up in a cubby, and I never knew what I had, quite frankly. I just tried to put them by colors, but the ones that were in the back, you would never know what was in there, so that works out great. I still have the bigger rolls stacked up, but there's just nothing I can do about that. Okay, so back to making a bow. The first thing that you're going to need with the Bowdabra, there is a wire, a ribbon wire made by Bowdabra that I encourage you to get. There may be other things, but it looks like string, but there's a little tiny wire in there, so it does hold its shape a little bit. So that's what I would encourage you to use. I am no expert on doing these bows. I don't work for Bowdabra. I don't get any money from Bowdabra to do this. I just kind of wing it, and I'm going to show you how I wing it, and y'all can wing it too. I think on their website you might be able to find some recipes for the exact amount of ribbon that you need for a certain bow, but I just don't have time for that, and I quite frankly don't want to do math. So anyway, so you take your ribbon, your wire. The first thing that you have to do these bows is you take your wire, and I eyeball it. What you're going to do is you're going to just take the top and you're going to bring it down and kind of make a loop. And you want to have enough wire to where it's going to extend beyond the Bowdabra ends. And so that looks about right. And I can actually look and see, once I cut this, I'll see how long it is. I've never actually measured it before. So if you were to take this out, it measures about 18 inches, I guess. It's pretty close to what it measures. So I'm going to go ahead and make this loop. So it's going to be open at the bottom, and there'll be a loop at the top. You see that? And then I'm going to slip it in here. Just going to slip it between these things, and then the ends I'm going to tuck under, so they'll kind of be out of the way. So I'm just going to tuck those two things under. And then what I do is I start with whatever I think the tail of the bow is going to be. So ever how long I want the tail to be. And what I'll do is I'll stretch out the ribbon and I'll double it. And I would put it on a wreath just so I could eyeball the length of the ribbon. If that's how long I want my tail, we're going to pretend that's it. I'm going to do that. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to cut here. So this is going to be my tail of my bow. And I'm going to stick that, the center of it, in the center of the Bowdabra. And if you've got a ribbon that's got a print side and a plain side, but do your print side down, because that's the side that's going to show. And there, you just put that in first. That's the first thing I do. And then you just start. And like I said, there are recipes and formulas that let you know exactly how many yards of ribbon you need. Look at this. This is really interesting. I guess to make the completed roll of ribbon, they attached these two pieces together, and I certainly don't want that in my bow. That's really kind of a cheap thing to do, but that's what they did. Okay, so we're going to start it. On the end, you're just going to pinch a little bit of the end, and you're going to stick it in to the Bowdabra. Now, this is really tricky, and a little bit of ribbon will make a big bow. It's hard to know exactly how much ribbon, how wide you need to make it, but I'm just going to show you what I usually do for my wreaths. Now, this is just for wreaths. I start out here, and then what you're going to do, since we've got a two-sided ribbon, you're going to twist it to where the outside, the print side is down, and put it in, and then you're going to bring this loop back, and here's where it gets a little tricky, because you want these to be even. And so, I mean, you can eyeball it if you want to. A lot of times I'll pull up the sides to see, and I can see that this side is a little bit taller than the other side, so now I've got a little bit too much ribbon in there, so I'm going to step back a little bit. Then I'm going to twist it to let the print side to be down. Okay, so I've got those first two loops. The next two loops I'm going to make the exact same size as the two loops that are already there. So I'm going to come, and that makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to twist, and I'm going to make sure that I've got about the same size. I'm going to do a little bit better job of twisting. Make sure you get that tight. I'm going to go ahead and twist that. So we got that. And then same thing. I'm going to come back through here, and I'm going to make sure that I've got basically the same size loop, and I'm going to twist. Okay, so we've got two of this larger loop. Now we're going to come in just a little bit, and we're going to make our next loop. And our next loop, you want it to be just a bit smaller than the loop before. I don't know if you can see how that is just a little hair smaller. Same thing, we're going to twist. Press that down. Come back, and the same thing, we're going to come in a little bit. Let's see, make sure you have it kind of even there. And honestly, I mean, I'm not the greatest at symmetry. Sometimes my eyes just don't see. I think it looks even, and then you realize at the end it's not exactly even. But it's okay, because you can figure out ways to make it all look great. And I'm going to come back and do the very same size loop as that. And I kind of see where I need to be. I twist and put it in, and that's a little bit smaller. I'm going to pull it just a little bit. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to bring this. And it gets a little twisted on your spool. You can always unravel it if you want to, because we really are getting pretty twisted here, but it's okay. Okay, so those are the same size. So those, you've got two big ones, you've got two a little bit smaller, and we're going to come in two just a smidge smaller than that as well. So we're going to come in a little bit smaller, and twist, and bring, and you can always kind of twist this around too, to where you kind of get those twists out of there. Okay, twist. And down, and then of course now we're going to do our last two. They're that exact size. Let's see where we are on that. There. Twist and down, and then same size as that. We're going to twist it and come down. And now we're at the end of the bow. So now we need the center loop of the bow done. And so we're going to come in, this is just going to be one loop. And it's going to be a little, oh goodness, there goes the dog. Somebody's outside. We're going to do our smaller loop. And this one you don't have to twist because there's not going to be an opposite side. I apologize for Maximus Prime being so barky. Okay, so we come to the end, and you see this one's a little bit smaller than the others, the last one that we made. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just trim that off like that. Now, the Bowdabra comes with this nifty little scruncher. I'm sure there's another term for this, but I'm going to use this. I'm going to come down and I'm going to scrunch down the bow. Now, here's where it's so important that you remember to put your bow wire in, and why it would be really difficult for you to be able to make your bow without it. And see, ooh, I almost lost that end. So I'm trying to make it to where y'all can see. I've got the loop on this end and I've got the opened ends here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them up. Don't pull all of your ribbon out of this yet. I'm going to slip those ends through that loop and make sure that you've got your end down. Okay. And I'm going to use one hand to press it down and the other hand to pull the wire. So then, you can see we've got it stacked up here. I take the wire, separate it out. I give it a good tug. And now this will break, so don't go crazy when you pull it. And I'm just tying a knot. You know what? Actually, that bottom ribbon should have been turned the opposite direction, but it's okay. So now you start to fluff out your ribbon. So what I do is I just pull these, the longer ones set apart, the middle ones apart, and then the smaller ones apart, and then do it on the other side. Here we go. Okay. And then it's just a matter of fluffing and pulling until you have it. And of course, use wire ribbon. I totally recommend wire ribbon. If you use another type of ribbon, you're going to have a hard time fluffing it out. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but and then when you get to your ends of your ribbon, and you can see here I've got a little bit of this tail from where I finished. And then I always want to do your little fancy ends on your tails. Just fold it over. Start on the folded edge and angle down toward the wire, and that gives you this nice little V. I honestly do not know what that's called. Some people call it dovetailing. I don't know. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but there, it's a pretty simple ribbon, or excuse me, simple bow. And once you get it on whatever it is that you were putting it on, it works just great. Okay, so that is how you make a basic bow with the Bowdabra. You can use a wider ribbon. You just have to scrunch a little bit harder on a wider ribbon, but you absolutely can use up to a 4-inch ribbon if you want to make a really big bow. But that's it, simple and easy in a nutshell. I wanted to show what it might look like. This is a wreath that's not finished. It's a wreath that I've been working on. But really neat thing about this too, you have the wires. It makes it easy to attach to something that you're working on. But you can see how pretty how these bows can look when you put them on a wreath or on a package. You can use this for wrapping paper, bows, whatever that you would like to do. Simple and easy, and I hope you give it a try. Thank you so much for joining me in this little tutorial. I hope that there were some helpful tips that you found and that you will give it a try. Don't be afraid to make a bow for your wreath or anything that you're decorating in your house. I hope that your new year is absolutely wonderful. Check out my website, underatexassky.com. I've got a blog that I've started. I haven't been super faithful to updating it, but it's there. And there are lots of other tutorials on wreaths and home improvements, refinishing furniture. I try to put a variety of things on my website, so be sure and check it out, underatexassky.com. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day.